from home to work and home to work and home to work and whatever other obligations we've got, and our time to be self-reflective is really minimized. But and it's interesting how the space for art in schools has shrunk or been eliminated. I was talking with Diana. I was studying sculpture at the New School University in New York, and in 1999 they just shut it down and opened up a computer lab. We were messy, we were filthy, we made...
Yeah, they don't like the mess.
No, they don't. And at the student art league, sculptures in the basement. Anyway, but my question is, maybe I'm taking things away from what we've been talking about, but I wanted to know your thoughts on the relationship, or the role that religion plays in the relationship between art and affluence. And things I was kind of pondering were the Mapplethorpe controversy of the 80s, Andre Serrano's art, and then something like the Passion, which met with more acceptance than did those other two. So what kind of role do you think religion is playing in this?
Well, I always think art is a personal religion. That artists create their own personal religion. They don't want to conform to all the religions that are out there. They have problems with it, so they create their own. And that's what I was saying about their own moral vision, moral philosophy, and religion. In relationship to the Mapplethorpe and Serrano controversy of the late 80s. If you don't know what that was, the National Endowment for the Arts was a funding organization of the government, and they had a council that chose artists for awards. And this artist council voted Mapplethorpe and Serrano, and I think it was Terence Finley, I believe, all controversial artists with a kind of sexual and religious agenda embedded in their works. And when they got the award, the senators, particularly Jesse Helms from North Carolina, I believe, objected that such artists showing this anti-religious, sexually alternative lifestyle, that they should, get these awards from the government. And it was like the government okaying, anti-Catholicism and homosexuality, and that the government shouldn't be doing this. And he managed to close down the whole National Endowment for the Arts, this funding organization for arts. And it's the politicians are afraid of the public, and they're afraid of what the public will say. I mean, Giuliani did the same thing during the 90s with the show at the Brooklyn Museum, where Chrysophilia had the Madonna with elephant dung stuck on her, with jewels and elephant dung. And he was an African artist trained in London, and his response was, well, elephant dung in African cultures is a very spiritual thing. The elephant is revered, and it is not sacrilegious. It's just different cultures interpret it a different way. But Giuliani sort of revved the public up to get the Catholic vote to protest, the whole thing. So that's how the arts are used. The arts are always used. I mean, the popes used the arts, to sell Christianity. They had them decorate the churches for the illiterate, so they would be amazed by these biblical and religious stories on the wall. There's always the controversy too of Rockefeller's involvement in the 1950s with the spread of abstract expressionist American painting to counter Russian conservative realist style painting. Say, America's free, we can drip and smear and pour and It's a symbol of our freedom, these styles of painting. But, the artists didn't feel that. I mean, they may have felt the freedom of it, but they didn't want to be proselytizers in the Cold War. But the government sent them around the world in shows into Europe to show what American freedom is really like. And so in a sense they were used too. So if you're successful, maybe you get used.
I'm just thinking about what you just said, and it's kind of like art is useful. Art is used when it's useful, but kind of discarded when it's a liability or when it's. I seen the thing, and when you said, when we asked why is the society like that, I think you kind of answered it when you said, well, people, an artist that has to work on a broken easel with not enough supplies is going to not want to do it next time, and I think that maybe has contributed to the thinking of, okay, it's art, so let's do away with it. You know what I mean? Maybe that has something to do with it. And it's almost like it's like a circle. It's like one thing affects the other, and it just goes round and round and round until where does it end? Does it keep going?
Like creativity kind of lacks motivation.
But you know what? I noticed that it doesn't stifle the artist, and it doesn't deter you as an artist, regardless if the government's funding you or not. You're still going to create.
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
You have to be very strong, have a strong centered sense of yourself to be an artist, to survive. Mm-hmm. It's like you can be, you have to be able to take a lot of criticism and a lot of indifference. If you can't take that, you may as well just don't even bother because it's going to be too tough. I mean, I remember a friend of mine from undergraduate school. She was the best one in the class. I mean, she was amazing. I remember when I met her as a freshman, and she used to rent this little office space in Philadelphia by City Hall in a little cubicle, and she'd be in there painting these paintings. What was she painting? I mean, God, amazing paintings. And I mean, I couldn't even go anywhere near what she was doing, and I couldn't even quite understand it. I thought, I want to know her. I want to know how she's thinking, to make these paintings. And so I became friends with her, and then the next year, I don't know, or was that my sophomore year? I don't know. But anyway, I became friends with her, and I was always just amazed with the clarity of her vision, the sophistication of it at such a young age. It was like, I didn't have good training in high school. I never went to the art museum before I was in college, really. I had never really, I thought I was good because I was the best one in my high school class. Every high school class has somebody who thinks they're the best. It's like, and there's a zillion high schools, So it's like, but I got there and I thought, whoa, I'm way back here and they're all way up here. And I thought, how am I going to get up there? So anyway, I became good friends with this woman. I'm still good friends with her. And after